To start your double exposure, first thing, open up the photos you're going to need. For your person photo, your best bet is going to be to select either your person or your background. As always, to the best of your ability. Holding Alt to unselect any parts that you didn't want to get. Refining the edge. And then turning on a mask. You can also crop as necessary. So going to the crop tool and getting rid of any excess space that you don't want in the photo. Hopefully you've edited your photos in Camera Raw first, but if you need to add more contrast, you can go to an adjustment layer, levels, add some more brightness, add some more darkness by moving it, moving your sliders within the levels property. You can also do this with the curves. By dragging the bottom part of your curve down, you'll add more dark values. If you move the top of the curve up, you'll get lighter values, and you can move the midtones around as well. I only need one of those, and if you screw up, you can always click on the icon, click the trash can, and make it go away. We can add a new neutral colored background behind our subject by going to the new layer icon, drag it below your person, using the paintbrush tool, which is hidden behind the gradient tool, click and hold, paint bucket tool. I can either put this down as white. Okay, so what I did there is I clicked the white and black, and then I clicked the arrows to flip-flop it, or I could do a light gray just by clicking over in the color panel. If I don't see the color panel, go to Windows Color, and I can click just a light gray, and then with the paint bucket tool, I'll fill it in. And what I'm seeing by filling this in is actually that my mask, it was not quite perfect. So I can go back to my mask, go to my brush tool, and paint over top of that and get rid of any inconsistencies that you found from filling it in. Next, I'm going to drag over the picture that I want to add on top to create this double exposure. So this is the photo I want. I'm going to go to the Move tool, click, hold, drag, drag, drag until I see the plus. I've gotten an error, hopefully you guys won't, but when I click OK, it just works. Obviously this picture is way bigger than the other one, so I'm going to do a Control T. I can't even see the bounding box because my picture is so big. Then I'm going to do a Control 0, which will zoom me all the way out to be able to see the entire bounding box. In the newest version of Photoshop, you do not have to hold Shift in order to resize your pictures. It automatically keeps it proportional. Holding Shift gets it so that you can drag it without it being proportional, but this is only in Photoshop. So I don't have to hold Shift. I'm just going to make it so it fits on the page for now. And then I'm going to zoom in. And I did Control 0 again, so it's just filling the entire page with the canvas this time. And I'm going to say okay for the resizing at the moment, kind of drag it around, see sort of where I want to put it and see if it's going to match more or less where I want it. And it looks like this size will probably be good, but I can also adjust it later. The next thing I'm going to do is go up to select, load selection. And what I'm trying to get here is the mask that I put on myself, which I've got automatically because it looks like it's the only mask. So layer 0 mask. I also happened to click on that beforehand, so it might have already added that. It's going to make a new selection. I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to now click on the church and create a mask here. So I'm masking my church photo to the picture of me is what I'm accomplishing with this step. To be able to move the church separately without the mask, I'm actually going to click on the link between these two. Then I'm going to make sure I'm clicked on the church, not the mask, and I can move this around to make sure that it fits exactly the way I want it to fit within the picture. We're now going to duplicate the layer that has me and my layer mask on it. You can do this two different ways. The first is by doing Control J on your keyboard. The other option would be to right click and choose duplicate layer. Once you've duplicated it, you're going to drag it on top of the church. And now that we have a duplicated layer, we're actually going to merge our levels to this layer 0 copy. So I'm going to go ahead and right click and choose merge layers. That way my levels will stay connected with that picture. Then I'm going to desaturate my picture by going to the new adjustment layer, and I'm going to choose hue saturation, and we're going to drag our saturation all the way down so that it's black and white now. If you want to retain a hint of color, you don't have to go all the way to -100. You can pull it back a little bit. If you also want to adjust your picture so it matches colors from your second image, your object picture, you can always drag your hue around to get that to match something from your added picture. We're also going to add another adjustment layer, levels again, this time to make our picture much darker so that it interacts with your second picture in a better way. And you can always adjust this later depending on how it all turns out. To only apply these adjustment layers to the picture of me, I'm going to right click and say create clipping mask on both of these so they won't affect the picture of the church at all. From here, I'm going to get my images to finally interact by placing a blending mode on top of my picture of me. Okay, so this is the top picture of me. I'm going to where it says normal, and I'm gonna make a decision. So I can go to dissolve, and then I'm using my arrow keys on my keyboard, and I'm just taking a look at what my options are on how I want this picture to interact with the other picture. So screen is the recommended one, but it's up to you how you want them to interact. So I'm actually going to go ahead and stick with screen for the moment. But again, you can go through and see, you're making a choice. How do you want this to work? But I like that screen is going to let you all see some other choices that I'm making. So for example, my picture didn't perfectly fit, so I've got this line right across the top of my head. There's a few ways that I can start to choose how to get these pictures to interact. To get rid of this line in particular, I'm going to go to my layer 2 mask. So this is where I've got my church, but the mask of me. I'm going to go to my brush tool. I'm going to change it to black because I want to slowly fade it out. I can change the opacity, I can change the flow. Both of these will help me get a softer brush. And so I'm actually going to go down to a flow of, let's try 15. And we'll start with that and see how that works for me to get rid of this. So it slowly now is going to blend as opposed to being as severe of an edge. So I think I'm going to come down a little bit more, a little more of my face show through. And then I'm actually pretty happy with that. But so I don't have that line anymore. Similarly over here, I could do the painting, right, to get that to blend. I think what I might end up doing is actually just cropping the picture over. But so this is one way that I can deal with that. If I want to, for example, get rid of a little more of my face that's behind the church, for that one, I'm actually going to go to the levels 1, or what's the picture of me. I'm going to put a new layer mask on. And again, I'm painting with black. I've still got my flow set at 16, so it's going to be nice and gradual. And I'm just going to kind of fade out my smile and my chin a little bit. But this is where you're going to be making those decisions. How do you want it to interact? And you can adjust any of your masks to make it work. So like I said, I'm going to go ahead and crop my picture down a bit. And then when I'm happy with it, I can do File, Save As. I'm going to first make sure that I've got last name underscore first name underscore, call it double exposure. Save as type PSD. So if you want to change anything ever again, we've got this PSD file that you have the layers for and can continue to adjust. Then your second save will be to save it as a JPEG, and this is what you would turn in. So it's already saved as last name underscore first name underscore double exposure. My file type and my file extension match. And I'll turn in, and I'll click OK, and then I'll turn in the JPEG version of this.